Welcome. This podcast is an exploration into being human and what's possible when there's less attention on the noise in our heads. Warning. While listening to this broadcast, you may experience moments of deep peace, sighs of relief, personal insights, or long stretches of dead air. Do not be afraid. This is normal. Under the Noise with Wyn Morgan and Kate Roberts.
All right, welcome to Under the Noise. I'm Kate Roberts.
And I'm Wyn Morgan.
And we're here today with Rob Cook. Hey, Rob.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So, Rob, I remember a conversation that you and I had where we were talking about how on podcasts and recordings, we always go back and introduce somebody on all their old life stuff as a way to jump off into the new stuff. So today, we're actually not going to do that at all, Rob. This is Rob. Just Rob.
That is so funny. I'm probably one of few people maybe who thinks like that because I have to read bios for my own podcast now. Yeah. So it's like, they're like, who am I talking to? And I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. Because they're my friends. You know, you all are my friends. So the world wants to know your accomplishments. But yes, that's how I feel. Like, just, they'll hear it or not, you know, so.
So is there anything right now that occurs to you to share about yourself?
I'll use my two reference points. The best way to describe me is a person who understands he's not broken and anything is possible. That's about it. And you can put that in whatever form you need it to. I'll search for answers. And then there's no time limit on because possibility is infinite. Whenever it happens, it happens. So just keep going, and unless it occurs to me not to keep going in that way. So yeah, I don't know because you know most people use their duty titles. Well, on Monday I may personally train. On Tuesday I may coach. Wednesday I'll DJ a party. Thursday, you know, I don't know. I'm just Rob. You know, I'm just gonna show up and we're gonna have a good time and that takes different forms. So that's why I don't know how best to explain that, you know, other than I'm just Rob, you know.
I love that though.
Thank you. But I'll play for everybody. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. Was a somewhat okay athlete. Didn't get the opportunities after high school as expected, so I joined the military. Stayed in the military for 21 years, and I retired after 21 years, I retired from the United States Air Force. It's pretty interesting. Then transitioned into civilian life, and seeing what all I brought from that 21-year career into my new life, and then going from that training into coaching was another flip. But that's pretty much the road with a whole bunch of other stories in between. But yeah, the majority of my life has been traveling the world in service of our nation's defense. And now I'm kind of waking up to enjoy my own life. So.
Could you talk to us a bit about what it was like when you woke up to enjoying your own life, as you just mentioned?
Scary. Questioning a lot of beliefs. So for instance, I posted something last week about just take a break. And I would go through all the thoughts I would have about why I couldn't take a break in my life. That means you're lazy. That means you're not as focused as the next person. You're not going to get it. You're already playing from behind. Blah, blah, like all of these things that came into why I couldn't take a break. You got to be working harder. It's got to be painful. It doesn't exist. And that was, again, playing into that mindset of being broken or living through a box of thinking it has to be painful to enjoy it. Like, it's got to be, you got to go through this horrific trauma to just be grateful for life. And I don't see that as true anymore. The wake up after scary, it was just unsettling because I didn't know it. But it was like this drawing though, because not knowing, but you were so excited about not knowing because it meant you could learn. And it was just Wyn, it was almost like a different lens of looking at the world. Things that behaviors changed like immediately, just because certain things weren't true anymore. And I think I stayed in that uneasiness for about a year and a half, challenging in it, just because I'm about to drop about 40 years of programming. So I need to make sure next what I pick up is not just another set. Like, I really need to test this, and lucky enough for me, my mentor gave me a great space to do that. A very good space to do that. Almost like being in a playground and everything is safety guarded because he's there, but you're still getting to learn. And then realizing one day he'd have moved you out of the park and you've been in life all along, Since then, it's just been probably the most remarkable, most amazing feeling I've had. To include down days, up days. Like, it's like, wow, that's living life. Like, that's living life. Feeling that right now. Pissed off about this. Seeing that I'm pissed off about this. Feeling it, all of that. It's just like, oh shit, I'm living. Hell yeah. Then I'll get back to what it is. But for the moment, I'm living. So that's for me what it felt like waking up. I struggled to surrender to it, even though it was a much better feeling. Even though there was never any shittiness assigned to it or associated with it. But still, I questioned it. Now, I brought shit with me now. Like, I came to the party with a bunch of shit, and here I am challenging the one thing that hasn't given me any shit at all. Because even that wasn't something I knew was possible. Yeah, I didn't even know that was possible. So, yeah.
You said that you'd realized that you weren't broken and everything was possible. Beyond that, what did you wake up to that made you be so unsettled for 18 months because it questioned your previous 40 years of programming? Yeah, let's just start with that question. What was it that you saw at that point?
It was what I would consider the foundation of my life. So, I was beginning to challenge things that I thought made me a man. And so by virtue of challenging those, I had this ego masculinity that was toxic in a sense. No, I'm a grown ass man. No, I ain't, in my head. And it's so funny that hearing the term I'm a grown ass man makes me laugh, because it's like, if you know who you are, you never scream that. Like, it's not even something that comes out. Like, and then challenging what I had been told by loved ones and people I respected. And that was due to my own, the unstableness and ungrounding on myself. But when I was able to stand, I could see, oh, everyone has their own reality. Mm. So they didn't give it to me intentionally to hurt me. That's what they thought was true. Like, even though it was not a good belief, or well, I don't say not a good belief, but even that I don't find it as beneficial to my life now, they still gave it to me with the best intentions of thinking they were helping me be a better man or better father or better this or better that. And it just all was crazy. Even, here's a big one, realizing or accepting that I had fathered my kids based on what I needed people to think about me as a parent versus what was best with developing them. They had to walk, talk, do things a certain way because I was their father. And it was embarrassing for me at my level in my career where I was. You don't get options of having a bad day at school, a public display of a breakdown or a meltdown, regardless of you being a kid. It's not tolerated because I need everybody here to see me as a person who governs like this because it's leadership. And that was the biggest crock of shit I've ever in my life believed. And flipping that to talking to them and reminding them and well, explaining to them how grossly wrong it was to do that, but also seeing it was nothing I could do about it. And so if you'll have me today, I'm kind of clicking on something and we can rock out. Like that's how, that's how it is with my daughters now. But it was stuff like that, man. Thinking if you said something to me in anger, that meant I had to fight you. Like it's probably been a month now, maybe about a month. I was having some family issues with my family being sick from COVID and stuff. And I had a lot of anxious energy around that because my grandmother had failed. She was kind of stuck in the house and I had to break in to get her. But I was in my head about it. And so I said, I'm going to go to sleep because if not, I'm just going to keep thinking it. I know me. So I went to sleep. I woke up that next day still in that energy. And I get a voicemail and it's my neighbor. And he's mad on the phone, like super mad about a property line thing. He's screaming. I can barely make out, really don't hear it. And I pick up the phone. I said, hey, I just want to make sure you were mad. And he was like, hell yeah, man. I was like, cool. I'm on my way down the driveway. Click. So I walk down the driveway and we're talking and we're screaming back and forth about this property line dispute. And I say to him, I say, how about I just beat your ass? How about that? How about I just beat your ass right here, right now in this driveway and we just call it quits? And he screams, no, just fucking listen to me once. No wonder we're arguing. Because I'm not listening. Of course I'm not listening. I'm trying to prove to you, don't scream at me. Like, the ego, don't project your anger, frustration on me. Well, I never would have made it down that driveway if I wasn't projecting on him. I already knew I was off. Like I knew I was off. So I laugh and I literally say to him, from beat your ass was about 20 seconds maybe. And I said, all right, I'm coming in. I'm going to hug you now. I'm going to hug you. Stop. I'm not hitting you. I promise. I squeeze and I hug him. And he was like, I said, yeah, I'm fine now. Come on, man. Let's walk up to my office and talk about it. And he's walking about 3 steps behind me. And I turned around and looked at him. I said, I'm fine, man. Trust me. I'm good. No, I'm not joking. He was like, but, and one of the things I said, look at me, man.
There was something that you said earlier on, and you said something like, anyone who knows who they are wouldn't be that toxic. And those weren't the exact words, but you said something like that.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean, but how would you describe what you mean with that?
Well, when a person gets a glimpse that everything they need to govern, drive, motivate them, it's inside of them already, they wouldn't cover it up with the toxins, whether that be anger, whether that be unforgiveness, whether that be misuse of a substance, whether that whatever, whether that even, they just wouldn't cover that up. And that's where the you're not broken comes from, because a lot of my mindset was, for me, and I don't knock it for anybody who's ever been through it, but for me, substance abuse counseling, AA, PTSD counseling, talking to doctors, they all left me feeling like I just wasn't enough. Like, it was always going to be something wrong. And I'm not trying to any knock on the professional field of mental health at all, but that's how I took it. It just, they never seem to fully explain to me this, why I'm doing this, what's happening when I drink, or any of that. And when I realized I wasn't broken, then it made perfect sense why I drank. Because I was drinking to stop the thoughts I was having about my life. Well, okay, drinking probably wasn't the best form or tool or tactic to use, but sometimes I replaced it with work. And I work 16-hour days, exhausted, don't eat, just come home, hit my pillow, back up, do it all over again, get lost in the job. That's just as unhealthy as drinking every day. Like, it's the same. Then I was like, oh, I'm not broke. I'm okay. Okay. Woo. Okay. If I'm not broke now that settles me enough to say, now I just got to find the answers. Right. But if I'm dealing with a whole piece, then I'm good to go. But if it's broken, like, I know I made decisions. I said this a lot. I made certain decisions in my life that would have been different if I thought I had a chance after 18. There were fights that I got into. There were moments in my childhood that I accepted the opportunity to ride along with, because there wasn't much thinking past 18, 19 years old, because that was what I was told. So when gracefully, none of those stopped. I did live past 18, but getting out of 18 is like, oh shit, what do we do now? Never really thought about this part, huh? It was like that. And now, since I know I'm not broken, it's whatever. Like, it's whatever. And it may be I need to talk to a doctor. It may be I need to take a medication. Whatever it takes to stabilize the system, I get it. But I'm not broken. I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. So. Well, I think nothing's wrong with me. That's debatable too. So. That's debatable too. So.
No, it's not.
I was listening to something this morning. It was on another podcast. And the woman speaking was actually talking about things like using alcohol for work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that actually, the way that she saw it was that those things come from a place of wisdom. But that's actually our wisdom saying, we're not supposed to be putting this much thought on things.
Absolutely.
Now our brains are going to pick work or alcohol or drugs, but it all comes from this knowing that there's another way. Yes.
She said that much better than I did, Wyn. That's the essence. That's the essence of what I like. Yes, that's what I meant when I said, some may choose this, some. Yeah, that part is irrelevant to we were both all doing or going for the same thing to stop that thought or too much thought or not drive the system into overload. Basically, is what crash the system is basically what it does sometimes. Yes, that was very much. And please know.
Very rarely do doctors ever say, "Oh yeah, that's your wisdom. Don't worry about it."
True stuff. Yeah, I don't even know if they can.
You're good.
They probably can't. They probably can't. They're probably bound by some contract or something. They have to. to say something, because I didn't know this until I started talking to nurses and stuff, but the reason you have to be diagnosed is for insurance payments. And I go, well, wait, what? She said, well, it has to be a diagnosis because insurance. Now, it could be more, but this conversation was very interesting to me. I said, well, then diagnoses are a form of payment, not what I am or who they are. Like, then you don't have to do that. Then how did all of these stigmas get attached to it if it was only for coding purposes? Then damn, can we change the coding? Like, I mean, because they just don't seem to work very well when you say they're only for the purpose of insurance, being paid. Then what stigmas you are creating or impressions you're giving is brokenness and yeah, from a medical professional at that. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, the doctors are gonna be mad at me. Like, I love y'all too, though. I promise.
Here's the thing, though. Building on what both of you have said, is that until we see the truth that we're okay, doing stuff to feel okay makes sense. And if we realize the truth of, well, underneath the noise of all the stuff I've got in my head, which is, what humans have going on in their heads, and it doesn't mean what we think it means. When we realize the fact of being okay, doing things to feel what we already are makes an awful lot less sense.
Kind of like screaming, I'm a grown-ass man. When you are, it just makes sense. It's just like you said, when you are, you don't. Absolutely. When you are, you don't do a lot of time trying to be. Like, you don't. It's absolutely. Oh, man. I love that.
It's such a relief to see that, though, isn't it? The three of us can relate.
Yeah.
And it's so neat that it can happen. I mean, like you said, Rob, it happened in less than 20 seconds. That you dropped out of your thinking, right about to fight, straight into a hug. And it happens like that. That shift.
Always one thought away from a totally new experience, said one wise man. One thought. And, catching it is the fun part now. Slowing it down, getting before it. Even knowing the topics you have weighed on, because they're still there. Abuse a dog, hurt a child, I'm coming. Like, forward weight, like, it's weighted, it's gonna be slanted, somebody's gonna have to get to me, and I'm just being honest about it. I'm just being honest, but I'm coming. Like, so, but again, that's it. That's the part I love in how in playing this. So. Being under the noise. Yeah.
So I heard one of your new ventures, your own podcast, Rob, your own series. Tell us a little bit about that.
That project is a very cool one, because what happened was someone saw me and Michael talk about racism on My Health Can't Hurt. And they just so happened to be a 3PGC board member. And they wanted to meet me to have more talks. And when we got to know each other, that led to me being at the practitioner conference or whatever. But she basically said she was listening to her own wisdom, and she wanted to do something different in the community. And I was like, what about podcasts? Like, I'll host it. If you're going to go tell me any and everybody I could talk to in the principles, because it's the board, let's go. And we can pick anybody. And then we just got excited about it. So I then had to talk with Dickin and Aaron, and they all loved it and loved what I thought about it. And they've been the most supportive people in getting this podcast out. Even with connecting me, none of the people, I knew one person, but everybody else I'm meeting fresh and new. And we're talking about their stories of the evidence of impact they're seeing in their work or in their lives. We've been to the UK, we've been to social work of Vermont. We're going all over the place. I got a guy coming up who heard the principles through his inmate program, his own, and has since became a counselor and works for the Beyond Recovery team in the UK. And this is his life passion now. Like, so I was like, I want to hear that. I want to hear all about that. Sign me up. So that project has been amazing, man. Just meeting new people. It's a lighthearted conversation just about the human experience. But done to just show no matter who we are, our experience is the same. I may be black, you may be white. I may be male, you may be woman. You may be Mexican, I may be American. I get it. Yeah, if we look at all that true, we can make a bunch of shit up about it. But there's a bunch of other stuff we really could vibe out on. And that's what this has been. This is just my way. I did it angrily before. I've fought and argued and been enraged and screamed my point of, listen to me about racism in America. And I noticed I never got anywhere. I noticed people didn't really listen to it. It was offensive. It was rude. The tone was off. And I think this show is significantly different because the tone is love. Period. I don't even care what you believe. You're free to do that part. So that's why I hope this project does well, because it's not a right or wrong. It's just, give me who you are. Give me what you see with it. And I don't have to agree with it, But man, I don't have to hate you either. So that's all it is, man. It's pretty fun too. It's been pretty fun.
And it's called We're Listening, right?
We're listening, yes. Oddly enough, what old boy screamed out. Yes, that was all. Yes, it was no joke. It was. Oh man, yeah. Just that. It was like when the word said it. When he said, "You're not listening," it was like, quickly. Like I could see the banner to the podcast. We're listening. Like it was like, damn, I do this for a living. Like, wait, it was like, oh man, yes. Like I'd have been in listening super classes. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing I supposedly have a business based off. Damn listening, shit. But hey, yeah, man.
Very cool. So if people want to find out more about you and what you're up to, how would they do that?
Cool. They can go out to imrobcook.com. You can go onto my social media sites. I'm Rob Cook. I am ROBCOOK. Also have a Taste of Wellness event coming up. It's a 3-hour health event. Talking about fitness and health from my understanding of the principles, and how this gap was created and what people believe true health is. And so we're going to spend some time talking about that. It's on the 19th and the 20th, just same event, but 2 different days, so people can make whichever one they want. But yeah, all that is on either my social media sites or the website.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I was telling y'all before we started that every appearance I've done this week or everything I've done, Under the Noise has came up. Either not knowing to the person that was your podcast, or because they knew that was your podcast. So just the term Under the Noise came up, and several different things I've done this week. So that's why I was so excited when it was time to come up. Like, I've been talking about this shit all week. Of course it's coming. Like, I've been talking about it all week. Of course, you know. I mean, I've even had somebody say, I don't even know how to explain. Like, I'm just going to make this up. Like, it's kind of like Under the Noise. I was like, you didn't make that up. Like, it's like you didn't make that up. It's already a podcast. I know the people who started it, but no, I'm just saying. Like, yeah, it was just the topic or the kind of like essence of what everybody's been talking about, trying to do. Whether it's what you believe about the pandemic is trying to get underneath the noise to just function. Because there's so much out there. No matter how you pose politically, man, you just got to try to get under the noise. Like, or for American politics, you know, you just got to get underneath the noise and like try to breathe. You know how they say smoke rises, and if you choke up, you better kind of get low, just get a little breath, man, because it is pretty interesting out there sometimes. But again, thank y'all, man, so much for having me.
It's been a joy, Rob. Always love listening to you. Always do. So you've been listening to Rob Cook with me, Wyn Morgan, and Kate Roberts on this week's Under the Noise. You can find out more about Rob as you look at the links in the description to this podcast or down below if you're on YouTube right now. And we'd love to hear what you've made of it. Questions, comments, or anything else, and subscribe and like and share. But we'd love to know what landed for you, Rob. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wyn.
Thanks for joining us. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have a topic or question that you'd like us to chat about, email Wyn or Kate at wyn@winning.co.uk and Kate at katerobertscoaching.com. Until then, enjoy what's possible under the noise.